תדייק בכלל.
Hey, shalom to everybody who is watching. This is Yehuda from ImTirtzu. I'm coming to you live from Jerusalem, from the March of the Flags. Here, all around me are hundreds of people. The entire nationalist camp of Israel is out here with Israeli flags. Hundreds and hundreds of people are here. Hey, maybe 1,000, maybe more. It's hard to tell. Many people already started marching towards the old city, towards the Jaffa Gate. And everybody else is about to also start marching towards the Jaffa Gate, towards the old city. Okay, we're here on Chol HaMoed, over Passover. We're here to say that Jerusalem is one city, Jerusalem is united, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, the nation state of the Jewish people. Hey, not sure if we're going to do the march that we planned on doing, but we're going to show our presence in Jerusalem, in the old city. You can see all around me are hundreds of people with flags, with Israeli flags. This isn't a provocation. People were walking in Washington, D.C. with American flags, or London with British flags. It wouldn't be a provocation to anybody. There's nothing provocative about Jews in Jerusalem with Israeli flags walking through the old city, declaring that this is our city, that it's one city, that it's not on the table for negotiations. There's not going to be a division of Jerusalem. We already knew what that was like from 1948 to 1967. The Jordanians sat on the walls of the old city. Jordanian snipers sat on the walls of the old city, stood on the walls with sniper rifles and shot people, sniped Jews inside of the Western Jerusalem. Women, children, hey, no Jews were allowed to enter the city. Hey, the Oslo Accords, if anyone saw the stories that we posted about Joseph's tomb in Shem, in Nablus, the Arabs burned it, the Arabs desecrated it, even though according to the Oslo Accords, they're supposed to allow access to Jews to the tomb of Joseph. Hey, and we know that if Jerusalem is ever divided, and if the Arabs control, if ever, God forbid, a Palestinian state should arise, and they control the old city, we know that it's going to be just like the 19 years between the War of Independence and the Six-Day War, where we weren't able to go into the city, where we weren't able to go into Jerusalem. Okay? And that's not a reality that we're willing to return to. And so this is of the utmost paramount importance. Anybody that asks, why Jerusalem is already the capital of Israel? Hey, Jerusalem is already united. What's the point of walking with Israeli flags through the old city? What's the point of walking through the Muslim quarter? Because the Muslim quarter is part of Jerusalem, part of the old city, and it's never going anywhere. It's not going to be controlled by any other person. And by the way, as a tour guide, as an Israeli tour guide, I can tell you that the only power that had a capital in Jerusalem, the only power, the only entity, the only nation that ever had a capital in Jerusalem was the Jewish people. Everybody else was an empire based somewhere else in the world. Whether it was the British, whether it was the Ottomans, whether it was the Mamluks, whether it was the Greeks or the Persians or the Romans or the Byzantines, no other people have declared Jerusalem as its capital. It began with King David 3,000 years ago, and it's continued all the way until the present day. Jerusalem is one city, and it belongs to one people. Everybody is welcome here. Everybody is welcome to come and visit Jerusalem and pray in their holy places. Muslims can come and pray in the Mosque of Al-Aqsa, and Christians can come and pray in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. But Jerusalem belongs to Israel. Jerusalem belongs to the Jewish people, to Israel. Everybody is welcome to visit, and I'm happy whenever I see tourists, whenever I see visitors coming to Jerusalem, especially since I have a vested interest, a personal interest as a tour guide. But we're not willing to share Jerusalem. We're not willing to share sovereignty in Jerusalem. We're not willing to accept any other entity that has control in Jerusalem but the Jewish people. And that's the best situation that it's ever been for Christians, for Muslims and for Jews. The holy places are open to everybody, except, by the way, the Temple Mount. If there's discrimination against anybody, Israel is discriminating against Jews. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett just closed the Temple Mount to visitors, to Jewish, not to visitors, to Jewish pilgrims that want to ascend to the Temple Mount and pray in the Temple Mount. The Waqf, which is in control, the Jordanians and the Palestinian Authority that's in control of the Temple Mount, doesn't let anybody pray there, not Christians and not Jews, even though the site is holy to both Christians and especially to Jews. But the only people that are allowed to pray there in sovereign Jerusalem, in sovereign Israel, are Muslims. So where's the equality? Where's the freedom of religion? Hey, if anyone can cry that freedom of religion, their freedom of religion is being violated, it's the Jews that want to pray on the Temple Mount, which isn't allowed. So I want to show you guys. A big section of the flag march has already gone into the Old City, and more are going to go into the Old City. And Bezrat Hashem, we will walk through the entire Old City, all four quarters, to show that it's one city, and we will never, ever accept a reality where Jerusalem is divided, again, where any other power is in control of Jerusalem, but the state of Israel. Unfortunately, lots of blood was spilled, lots of Jewish blood was spilled, both in the War of Independence and the Six-Day War, to conquer the city, to take the city. It would be a desecration for all of the brave soldiers, all of the commanders, all of the people that gave their life and limb in order for Jerusalem to be free, in order for Jerusalem to be united, in order for everyone. And again, today, everyone is able to visit Jerusalem. You couldn't say the same thing when the Jordanians were here. When the Jordanians were in control of Jerusalem, you couldn't say that everybody was able to visit. This would have been as close as we would have come, maybe even further away, to visit to come close to the Old City. For 19 years, we weren't able, Jewish people weren't able to enter the walls of the Old City, weren't able to visit the Western Wall, not to mention the Temple Mount. In 1967, in June 1967, the paratroopers entered the Lion's Gate, conquered the Temple Mount, and the famous declaration by Muti Gur, Har Habayit Beyadenu, the Temple Mount is in our hands. Today, they made a big mistake in 1967 and gave back the Temple Mount to a foreign power, and today a foreign power is in charge of the Temple Mount in sovereign Jerusalem and sovereign Israel, and we see what the situation is. That non-Muslims are only allowed certain hours of the day, not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount, and they're even saying, you know what, there never was a temple. Solomon was a Muslim, David was a Muslim, Abraham was a Muslim, everyone was a Muslim. And Solomon didn't build the first temple on the Temple Mount, he built a mosque on the Temple Mount. Why? Because of course everybody was Muslim, and the Jews are of course the invalidated religion, the Hak al-Batal. The Hak al-Batal, well, guess what? We're not Hak al-Batal. We're not a nullified religion. We're not a nullified people. We're not a people scattered throughout the world. We're a sovereign people back in our own nation after almost 2,000 years of bitter exile, exactly as it says in the prophecies, exactly as it said in the Bible that it will be, that even if I scatter you to the four corners of the earth, at the end of days I will gather you and I will bring you into your own soil. Whether it's in the Torah and Deuteronomy, the book of Zechariah, the book of Isaiah, the book of Jeremiah, all of the prophets speak about what you see around me today. That the Jewish people will return to their national homeland, that Jerusalem will be the heart of the national homeland. And today, unfortunately, Jerusalem is a place which is associated with friction and with violence and with tension. But the prophet Isaiah says that they will beat their spears into plowshares. Nation will not lift sword against nation, and they will not learn war anymore. And all of the people will gather to Jerusalem, and knowledge of God and righteousness will cover the land, the same as water covers the sea. Okay? And we're really seeing that. We're seeing that before our eyes. And the best thing to do, the best thing for even the Arabs of the land of Israel and the Muslims around the world and the land of Israel is to come to terms with the fact that Israel is here, not only to come to terms